This is Tristan Overly and Marissa Kalina, and we're going to talk about the blended learning model.
So what is blended learning? It's also known as station rotation blended learning. Station rotation is the type of blended learning where there are different stations consisting of lecture, individual, and group sessions. Often, the individual rotation consists of computer-based learning, though it can include worksheets or personal writing. This is often used in 6th through 8th grade classrooms. However, both of us have seen it used in high school classrooms in math and social studies, which are our content areas. Math, English, and social studies and science are the classrooms where the model is most often seen.
The benefits of blended learning are that it's more engaged learning, so the students are moving around the room, they're not staying in one spot for the entire period, and they're also using different kinds of materials, so they're engaging with those materials and not just with other people or with a worksheet or with the teacher. It is also engaging with different learning styles. So it's one classroom, but there's a bunch of different learning styles, and it allows the students to use their learning style and learn the material in that best way. So whether it's individualized and reading the content or hearing it from the teacher. The teachers also can easily assess the data. So if the individual learning is on the computer, there is instant data that can be collected and used for the next day. They're also lecturing in the front with a small group of students, so they're able to assess how well the students are able to understand the material because they're working with smaller groups. There's also better feedback. This is because the students are with smaller groups again, and they can work more closely with the teacher. The students working on the computers receive instant feedback on whether they're getting the questions right or wrong. It also makes the learning fun because they are moving around the room and they're using different materials, so they're more engaged and they're having fun while learning the content rather than just sitting in a chair and hearing the teacher lecture.
The blended learning model is very good for differentiation, which is where we help those who are different, and all of us learn differently. So by having small lecture groups, it allows the teacher to work with only a few students that may be struggling with the material at the time. So this is really important so that if a student's struggling, this teacher can assess this and you work on this later by pairing those groups of struggling students together. And they also get better instruction. It's better for management because you don't have students getting distracted by all the other people in the classroom at the same time because they're not all there at the same time. Then also, online assignments allow individual students to be working on the more basic concepts or on more challenging concepts in the material. So you have different learners, some who are more advanced in the subject and some who are a little bit behind. And so that the ones who are more advanced don't get bored, you can have harder concepts in the online, personal, individual assignments versus ones that are the same for everyone. So it's more tailored to the needs of all students, including your struggling students who might need more explanation or a little bit easier of an assignment. Then also collaboration allows students to work together on the content. This is really important because collaboration is needed for life skills. It's also important because some students learn better through conversation and through working with other people.
So there are some disadvantages to blended learning. So for teachers who are brand new and they don't have very good classroom management skills yet, this may not be something that you want to use. Although once you've gotten those classroom management skills down, I would highly recommend using this in your classroom. The teachers must also be organized in planning. You have 3 different things going on in your classroom at the same time, so you need to make sure that you're planning for enough content to be covered in those 3 different areas so that your students aren't finishing early and just sitting there with nothing to do. The online learning can be a hurdle for some students if they're not regularly using laptops. So some students don't really use laptops, they are used to their cell phones. So it could be a problem trying to get them to understand how to use a laptop rather than using their phone or rather than using some other sort of technology that they have. Using this style also has a limit of the flexibility on time. So while you would be used to extending something a little bit longer because of lack of understanding, and once the session's over and it's time to switch stations, you can't continue your lecture because your students aren't understanding it, and the game is taking a little bit longer than you thought with the groups, or the activity with the groups is taking longer, then you can't allow that time flexibility there either. So that's another disadvantage to the blended learning model. And here are our references. So if you want to check them out, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you.